Hello everyone, it's Peg, and season's greetings to you all, whether you're celebrating uh, Kwanzaa or Hanukkah or Christmas or whatever it is you're celebrating at this time of year. Just the fact that it's snowing outside, I don't know. Or for you guys down south of the equator, that it's warming up. So anyway, this is our monthly challenge, and today I am going to have kind of a lengthy video because there are at least 10 steps in every one of these challenges, and each step takes a little bit of time. So I'm apologizing. I've sped this up 4 times fast, and I think that's about the best I can do for you to get the gist of what it is I'm doing here. Some places it's a little bit faster, some places a little bit slower, but here we go. So the first step was to use something old, and I have this book that my friend Molly, who works in a library, had given me because, books fall apart and the cover wasn't even on it, but these pages are still good for using. So I covered part of my page with that text weight paper. And then step number 2 says use paper scraps. So I dig out my folder that's got a bunch of pieces, just odds and ends of this and that. And I'm tearing it down and just, layering paper up. And yes, these are all scraps. They're just stuff that's left over from whatever. And you know me, I save all those scraps because you never know when you're going to need it. Look at here. I needed it to do this page. So the step number 3 was to add at least one piece of ephemera, and you'll see me do that here shortly. I'm going to glue all of these scraps down, and I'm going to use some archival ink around the edges just to, you know, lift it up off the page a little bit. This happens to be, what is that? Potting soil. And this was just some underpaper that I had in my stash, and I'm using a Yoo-Hoo glue stick just to adhere that down. I use a number of adhesives here. I use Aleene's quick dry tacky glue. I tack things down with my hot glue, but I always use some other type of permanent glue on these pages because hot glue just does not hold up. So I'm just continuing. There's some corrugated cardboard, something from some packaging. This was a piece of magazine paper that I thought had some textural stuff on it that was interesting, so I just added it to my stash. And yeah, gluing it down. And then I grabbed my stapler, my Tim Holtz stapler, which I had a little bit of difficulty with. So then I ended up getting my office stapler and stapling the edges of that down because that glue wasn't dry, and I'm an impatient girl. Can you tell? I'm an impatient girl. I couldn't wait for the glue to dry. I had to keep moving. So I'm just, continuing to layer, going to staple the edges because, hey, that adds a little more texture to my page, right? Okay, so the next step, that ephemera piece, I am digging in my stash and I find these, a pack of flowers that had been open. I'm not even sure who they're from. I'm not sure if they're Prima or what. I know I've shared them with my friends because it was a big pack of flowers, and it's on this craft colored card, and it's got, some writing and stuff on it. And I thought, well, those will layer up nicely. And, I'll just distress the edge with a little bit of that brown ink, and then I go to my buttons and I find some older, these are genuine, what do you call that, abalone shell. If you're in Dubuque, Iowa, there's a shell factory, or they used to actually make buttons here, so buttons are kind of important in Iowa. And I thought, well, I'm gonna put that pretty button in the middle of my flower. So that ends up being my ephemera. I also have this twine that I got from Fun Stamper's Journey, and I'm just going to tie that off through the buttonholes. So now we're ready for step 4, and that is use acrylic paint. Well, if I'm going to use acrylic paint, I'm going to go to one of my favorites, which is the Deco Art media paints. They are wonderful. They have flow just about as good as the Goldens, I think, and they're less expensive and highly pigmented. And so I'm going to use those with my Stencil Girl stencils. This first stencil that I'm using is S258 by Stigmiller. I love this because it has both the circles and the squares, and it's an open pattern, so I get good coverage with it. And I'm using, I think that's a green gold Deco Art fluid media acrylic through that stencil. And I'm going to use that in several places. And then I'm going to go to another Stencil Girl product, which is S131. And this is a little tighter weave stencil than the first one, not quite as open, but along the same vein. It has quite a bit of textural element there, and I'm going to use, let me think, what did I use? I used a blue, it might have been, um, probably the cobalt turquoise hue or the cerulean blue. I'm not sure which. Yeah, it was cerulean blue. Okay, so gonna put that in a few areas, and then I'm gonna go to that third stencil by Andrew Borlaug, which is S070, another Stencil Girl product. And I like this particular stencil because it has two designs on it, and you can use the one design over the top of the other. I'm just using the open circle on that one today, and you'll see it here in just a minute. I'm still finishing up with the second stencil, but this is a real versatile stencil, and I have to say that these little 6x6 stencils are fast becoming some of my favorites. So there's Andrew's open circles, and you can see that it has two different designs on that one 6x6 stencil, and how you could use them in conjunction with one another. Okay, and that, I think, is the cobalt turquoise hues. So, just going to finish up my stenciling, and then we're going to move on to step number 5. And step number 5 says stamp into wet gesso. So I need to go find some stamps, and I have some small ones that are from Prima. I think they're maybe like 2x3 or something like that. They're not very big at all, and they're clear stamps from Finnabair. And not sure what the name of this is. There's one that's kind of like dots, and the other one is a script, and they have several different ones that are fun to use. Bubbles and pine needles and crackle, and they're not terribly expensive because they're small like that, but it adds a lot to the background on your page. So I'm going to use that gesso and just spread it around with my palette knife. And then I'm going to come in with that dot stamp and stamp into the gesso. Now, in the long run, you don't really see much of this on the page. Didn't really seem to have a great deal of purpose, but it's one of those steps that you need to follow when you're doing a pick a stick challenge. So I did. I followed. So now you see me get out the gel medium, and this stencil I believe is from Hero Arts, and it says to use the gel medium to create a resist image. So I'm going to use it in about 3 places here on my page just to create that dimensional element and resist the sprays and things that I'm going to add later. Step 7 says add something from nature. Well, this is kind of a laugh because not a lot of nature things that I'm going to go out and get right now. It's winter here, and I'm could have used some snow and melted it down and used the water. I don't know. But um, it says leaves, grass, sand. Well, I'm not at the beach. So let me see. I remembered that I had this Happy Mail from my friend Sammy. She lives in Canada, and she sent me this beautiful package that she had painted up. I'll put a link to her video where she was creating this for me. And I thought, oh, there's leaves in here. I will use these leaves on my page. So I dig that out, and then I look in the little envelope that's in there, and there are also these little butterfly stickers, and I'm thinking, well, that's from nature. I can use a little butterfly sticker. And yeah, Sammy to the rescue. Thanks, Sammy. Isn't that a beautiful little mixed media piece she sent me there? Okay, so the next thing says, tear paper, collage it down. Well, Sammy to the rescue again. She had put some of these scallop pieces of paper into that package, and I thought, well, I can use one of those. And I found it's kind of a cream, not quite white, but I think it goes okay with the color of the page because we've got the natural color of the book text paper. And so I grabbed that and tear it into pieces, and I'm going to place that across the middle of my page. Now I'm just showing off some cute stuff that Sammy had included in that packaging. Little piece buttons and pretty ribbon, and oh my, gorgeous, gorgeous napkins. Thank you, Sammy. That was such a thoughtful thing for you to do. Okay, so there's my scallop piece of paper, and I'm struggling. Yes, I am struggling because that flower is already glued down. And this is one of the things that you'll find when you do these challenges. Sometimes things are already glued down that you wouldn't normally put on a page until later, but that's all part of the challenge. So step number 9 says add hand or machine stitching. Well, I am not a seamstress, and I have this machine that is not cooperating, and of course this is going on top of things that I don't want it to go on top of, and I'm struggling trying to get that flower to fit into the overall theme of things. And so I'm cutting my pieces and trying to piece it together, and oh my, it was not working the way I wanted it to. And then I remembered, oh yeah, I had this thread that I wanted to put into the background there before I glued all of this down. So let's just rip that up and try it over again. So finally, I am ready for step 10, which is spray randomly with ink, mist, and or paint. And I kind of do a lot of that. I have some spray from Color Bloom, and I use several different colors for that. I think let's see, do I have a list here? Why, yes, I do. I used Lime Wedge, Deep Teal, Tea Stain, Gold Foil, and Soft Teal sprays on here. Um, and they are gorgeous. They had shimmer and, a lot of color and splatter and dimension to the page. And I know you can't see it in the video. You have to see this stuff in person to really get the effect of it. But it's gorgeous. And then I also splatter it on in dots, and I use my paintbrush with some gesso and splatter that about. And I use some more of that Color Bloom with some tools, some medicine bottle tools to put some circles down with. And then I also add a little bit of scribble text with my Posca pen. And this is journaling. I'm talking about seeing the world clearly and putting my personal thoughts in on the page with that Posca pen. And then that's about it. I'll do some final photos. this is probably long enough. I was going to do a flip through of the entire book, but maybe I'll do that on another day. So thanks for joining me. I hope you guys are enjoying the break and the time off if you have it. And join our group if you haven't. Um, be sure and give me a thumbs up if you like this, and subscribe so that you let YouTube know that this is something important to you, and they know that you like the content that you're seeing. So that's it for me. I end up using some more of the wonderful wooden pieces that Sammy sent. This actually said sightseeing, but I was liking the word seeing. And so I cut that little piece in half and used just the seeing part for my title on my page. So that's it, guys. Bye for now.